Traditionally in film, men have control over the story and are in charge of moving the plot along. The male gaze and patriarchal traditions of male power have created this tendency. However, some female characters attempt to claim control over their own stories. The primary means of doing so in many films is through sex and sexuality. In a society that limits women's access to power, sex acts as a way to work within existing structures to gain power. The female characters Bree in Klute and Bridget in The Last Seduction are prime examples of this. They use the voyeuristic qualities of film and the male gaze to their advantage, using their sexuality as a way to manipulate men and the patriarchal system in which they are placed. While this manipulation can be empowering for the characters and those watching, it really only creates the illusion of power. In using stereotypes to their advantage, Bree and Bridget actually reinforce those stereotypes and give more power back to the patriarchy. In Klute, Bree Daniels works as a prostitute and depends on her sexuality to make a living. She says a few times throughout the film that she enjoys tricks or sex with clients merely because it gives her a sense of control. She is the object of desire and can therefore control the situation, empowering her over the men she sleeps with.
For a call girl, you control it, that's why. Because someone wants you, because it's an act. That's what's nice about it. You don't have to feel anything. You just lead them by the ring in their nose in the direction that they think they want to go in.
Because she is the object of desire, however, Bree only has the illusion of power. She dresses, talks, and moves in ways that men will find sexy, playing into their expectations of female sexuality. In order for her to have some sense of control, she has to act in ways that are set for her by the patriarchal society in which she is placed. We see Bree play with power and control in her trick with an anonymous man from Chicago. Bree starts in a subordinate role, mainly because the man has not paid her yet, and thus has control over her ability to support herself. We see this subordination as the man stands above Bree and she looks up at him. When he sits, he is positioned between Bree and the main light source in the room, signaling his power over her. Once he pays her, however, Bree takes the power. Here, she steps between the man and the light, taking control of the situation, her sexuality, and his desire. When she checks her watch during sex, we are reminded both that she is fabricating this intimacy and that her pleasure is irrelevant. She works to serve male desire in a way that reinforces traditional roles for women, even though she may feel empowered by her tricks. We are also reminded of Bree's subordinate role as she undresses. Let's go back. Here, we watch from behind her, placing us in a voyeuristic role as Mulvey explains in her piece, Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema. While her undressing is how she manipulates the man and gains control, this voyeuristic moment reminds us where she really stands as the object of his pleasure. Additionally, the way in which the man looks at Bree objectifies her. When he turns around and sees her naked, his gaze sexualizes Bree and reformulates her existence as solely for the purpose of pleasing him. Both the gaze of the camera and of the man within the film objectify and sexualize Bree. Bridget Gregory in The Last Seduction also uses sex to gain power. She exudes sexuality, knows it, and uses it to her advantage throughout the film. Bridget is a very strong woman with personality traits often associated with masculinity, such as resolve, ambition, and sexual assertiveness. Because of these traits, she is presented in a hypersexualized and overly feminine manner. In the opening scene, we hear Bridget berating male coworkers and see her in a sexy outfit with dollar bills tucked into her belt, relating her to a stripper.
$50 for a lousy coin set, you sell one at a time? Got $100 for the next sucker who makes a triple sale.
The dollar bills remind us that Bridget is a woman in a man's world and is always subject to the male gaze. In order for her to be accepted as a strong female character, she must compensate for her masculine traits by overconforming to feminine ideals of beauty. Her outfits throughout the film are overly feminine, and she is a conventionally beautiful woman, all requirements if she wants to play with gender roles by being more masculine. An example of this dichotomy is illustrated in Bridget's first encounter with Mike. Mike attempts to assert his masculinity and domination by continuing to pursue her despite her refusals, but Bridget is decidedly the one who will take control. When she finally lets him sit, she reaches into his pants and essentially assaults him, asserting her control over the situation. Here she plays with a dominant, submissive, male-female pattern of sexual pleasure and turns it on its head.
Okay, maybe we just got off to a bad start. I know Ray's put plenty of people in a... What are you doing?
I believe what we're looking for is a certain horse-like quality.
You serious?
I'll never buy anything sight unseen.
Uh-huh. That's a good policy.
How many lovers?
What, do I get extra credit points for experience?
While Bridget uses Mike's desire for her and takes on the role of sexual assertiveness usually prescribed for men, she looks sexy and beautiful sitting with a cigarette in her mouth. Her appearance excuses her aggressive behavior and draws Mike in further. Bridget continues to use sex and sexuality, both hers and Mike's, to her advantage. She needs Mike in order for her plan to escape Clay to work, and the only way to keep him going along with her scheme is to sleep with him. At one point, the couple breaks into their office and Bridget starts calling women who appear to have cheating husbands and tells them that they can kill their husbands for insurance money. This is clearly abnormal and morally wrong, and Mike is against being involved until Bridget offers him sex in return for playing along with her. She knows that Mike wants her and uses sex to keep him involved.
Amy said you wanted to be more than just sex partners.
I do.
Commonality, Mike. We don't like to have the same kind of fun.
This is fun?
Yeah, it's bending the rules, playing with people's brains.
Yeah, well, whatever,
We can go to my place afterwards.
your place?
Yeah,
I thought it was your place, your space.
I have more space now.
You're sick. You're really sick.
While Bridget does truly have all of the control and power in this relationship, she still depends on men throughout the film to keep her plan going. She needs Mike to do what she says so that she can frame him, she needs the male boss at the insurance company to give her a job, and she needs Clay to get the money from the drug deal at the start of the film. In this way, Bridget's power works within existing structures and manipulates female stereotypes in ways that just reinforce them in the people around her. Both Bree and Bridget fall prey to the voyeuristic gaze and a scopophilic pleasure that, quote, takes other people as objects, subjecting them to a controlling and curious gaze, unquote. The gaze of the camera is constantly objectifying Bree, especially as she undresses, and places her as merely an object of desire for the males in the film and the audience. Bridget, as well, in her many sexy outfits, is the object of a subordinating gaze, even when she has all the power over the men around her. Because of this voyeuristic tendency in film and the ways in which Bree and Bridget play with male desire to empower themselves that reinforce stereotypes, the power they gain is merely an illusion. They are, in fact, still subject to the male gaze and patriarchal structures that limit women's access to power.